What's up, guys? I'm back with some F122. This is my team, 100% race, Bahrain. Okay, so let's address that at the first. I haven't done any my team in a while. I maybe done a little bit, and I kind of played with maybe doing like a 25% my team, or like a 50% my team. But honestly, ended up going back to 100 just because I like it and it's fun. And it can be grating, I think, a little bit to race the AI for that long. But 20 cars or 22 cars in the case of my team doing 100% race is a lot of fun in my opinion, and it's awesome when you can find that many people to do it in real life. So AI cat 28 22 AI doing it is kind of a close second, I guess. So it's something that I enjoy. We'll see that if I stick with it. I may stop doing it as I have done from time to time, but for now I'm doing it, enjoying it, having a good time. So you see me there qualifying ninth. I do think that probably the difficulty was a little bit too high in qualifying. It's always a bit of a struggle to try to dial that in because it seems like in practice the AI maybe, I don't know if they have different fuel loads or what the case is exactly, but you have to be careful about calibrating. Like if you do the same time on softs as the top guy in practice, you're probably going to be slower in qualifying just for whatever reason. So it's a constant battle to try to figure that out and try to get to the right AI level. But when you really get the right AI level down, I think it can be a lot of fun. And I think probably in this race, and this is not spoiling anything, but I think probably in this race it was too hard in qualifying, and maybe a little bit too easy in the race, but not much, I wouldn't say, because I think the Red Bulls were really pacey in the race. The Ferraris were kind of surprisingly not that pacey. So we'll get into that in a second, and you'll see why I'm saying what I'm saying. But I do think it was surprising because I think the Ferrari is technically a better car if you just look at what the game thinks the rankings are. So again, we'll get to that in a second. You may have seen the strategy that I'm trying to do is soft to medium, and the leading strategy that the game thinks, or that the game is suggesting that the AI does, is going to be soft to hard, it looks like. So I would expect that we're going to see a bunch of the AI go soft to hard, and I'd be surprised if anybody else goes soft to medium like I'm planning to, because it seems in my experience that I can generally make the tires last a little longer than maybe the AI can or will. But even still, I think soft to medium is probably a pretty difficult play. I mean, I think that you really got to make the mediums last quite a bit, and I think the softs kind of drop off at the end too. But I've had some success going soft to medium in a 50 or 100% race against the AI, just because a lot of times the AI, despite the fact that they've got some tire wear upgrades that would allow them to probably do a one stopper, maybe soft to medium, they'll decide to go for the two stopper anyway. So that maybe gives you a little bit of advantage over the AI, even if it seems like your car is maybe a little subpar. So I'm feeling pretty good about this race. I'm P9. I got a decent start, which I don't usually do against the AI. The AI usually gets a much better start than I do, and I've managed to keep it clean at least through most of the first lap. You see me get almost a cheeky little pass there on Lando Norris, and then actually stick it and make it work. And now I'm only behind my teammate Oscar Piastri, and it looks like I'm going to get him on the start-finish straight here, but let us see. But instead, he breaks in front of me, and he really just ruins my run there. But the good news is I'm still in the softs. We're behind Sainz, who I know we can pass because he's on mediums. I'm behind Piastri, who I know I can pass because I'm better than he is, respectfully. But he's very very low rated at the beginning of a my team career, so I feel good that we can get him. And it looks like going into the third lap here on the start finish straight, we will get him as long as we can make this stick. So I'm feeling pretty good. I'm P7 now. If I can stay in front of Piastri, which it looks like I will, go a little bit off track, but I lifted so I didn't get a track limit penalty. And it looks like I'm going to make it work, and I'm going to stick in front of Piastri. So we're good for now. P7. We got Carlos Sainz in front of us, who's on mediums, and I have no doubt that I'm going to be able to catch him pretty quickly, just because It seems like my car is doing better than the Ferrari is at this race, and me on the softs, him on the mediums. It should be pretty easy to catch him. And you see here, getting close to the end of the fourth lap, I am coming up on Carlos Sainz, almost rear-ended him actually because he was trying to avoid hitting the back of George Russell. So we're kind of that could almost have been really bad, and I put myself in such a bad position that I couldn't recover and make the pass on the start finish straight. But going into the second DRS zone here, it looks like I should have no trouble, and in fact I have no trouble, and I'm very quickly, even with him having DRS as well, I hit the overtake and I am past Carlos Sainz and into P6, and it looks like George Russell is going to be all that's in front of me here. So we're off to the races. We're just going to do our best. You see me set a purple first sector, so I'm feeling pretty fast. I'm feeling pretty pacey. And again, I've managed to avoid catastrophe on a couple different situations here where I should have hit the driver in front of me and managed to just not do it. So I feel like the racing gods are on my side today, as you see me hit the DRS, and I really feel like I've got a good run at George Russell here. Feint outside, go inside, and it looks like I'm going to get it done, and it looks like I'm going to stick in front of him, and I do, as you see him kind of fade away behind. But fast forward a bit here into lap 6, and I get the fastest lap. So hopefully a sign of things to come. Just pumping out fastest laps throughout the rest of the race is all we can hope for. You saw a caution flag there. I didn't actually see anything around me, but I'm firmly in 5th here, and it looks like Yuki Tsunoda is out of the session. So I was curious if that was going to cause a safety car, and frankly, that would have been pretty bad, I think. Or not bad. I mean, I would have been fine. Probably would have gone to the hards if I had to guess, but I am hoping that there are no safety cars, because while I'm pretty far behind the top 2 drivers, which is Perez and Hamilton in P2, I do think that I can catch those guys over the course of the race, especially Hamilton. I don't know if we're going to be able to catch Checo, but we're going to do our best. But if we do get a safety car, it's going to somewhat ruin that. And like clockwork, we do in fact get a safety car. So we're at the point here where I probably would have gone another 5-6 laps to get to the mediums, but instead the game is suggesting that I go to a 2-stopper where I take 2 sets of mediums throughout the rest of the race, and I think that probably makes sense. I mean, if I try to make one set of mediums last, I probably could do it, but I think I'm going to be pretty slow at the end. So I think it'll be a game time decision to see kind of what we want to do here. But for now, I'm going to assume that we're good with the two stopper, soft, medium, medium, and just kind of see what happens here. So quick little display of the broadcast safety car, which I personally enjoy a lot, and I think is pretty cool. I like all the broadcast features. So big fan of that kind of stuff. You saw the broadcast formation lap as well. We jump right back into the action. Fast forward. If you've ever raced against the AI, you know that in that position it is so easy to pass a bunch of cars going into turn 1 right fresh off a restart, because all of those guys are just moving at a glacial pace, and they just line up, and they don't really, and they will make room for you generally too. I've learned the hard way that sometimes they won't. But you kind of just have to pick and choose your battles of when it makes sense to try to pass those guys. And right there, Lewis Hamilton leaves a lot of room. I've noticed that the AI leaves a ton of room at that corner, and it is often a pretty good place to pass. So we're firmly in P3 here, and while I said that I wasn't a big fan of the safety car because it messed up my strategy, which is probably true, it looks like we still should be in pretty good shape, because we are about to pass Sainz, hopefully, and Perez is honestly not that far up the road, and today I feel like I have the pace to catch anybody. So even though the safety car probably didn't work out in our favor, I am feeling pretty good about where we are, and I do think that we've got a pretty good chance to definitely get a podium, maybe even more. But what happens here was unforeseen. I had some sort of engine fault, and you see the box pop up in the bottom right, and we are on lean fuel mix. So we've just passed Hamilton, we've just passed Sainz, and then we were forced into lean fuel mix, and both of these cars passed me. again. So I'm right back to square one, and you can't hear the messages from my engineer, but basically, right after we passed signs, he said, "Oh, we have a problem." And then when the box popped up in the bottom right, it was the engineer telling me, "Oh, we have a problem with the engine. Hang on a second." And then now you see that I popped the box back up and I'm on standard fuel mix. So we're back to driving at our peak capacity, but we did lose 2 places in the process, which is a little unfortunate. So you see me get a little cheeky there with Lewis Hamilton. He did leave the room. I think we banged tires a little bit, but fortunately we are okay. We're getting out in front of Hamilton and working on catching up to Sainz. But the big takeaway from this is that I'm wasting a ton of time messing around with Hamilton and Sainz. And you see that Perez is way down the road now. He's over 7 seconds away. I don't feel great about our ability to catch him at this point, but fortunately, I do get in front of Sainz, and then immediately he passes me again because I just way overcooked it on the braking zone and kind of outbroke myself, if you will. So it looks like Hamilton is getting kind of close, and then he seemingly just runs into the back of me. And you can't hear it, but my engineer is telling me that I have underbody damage. So we're on lap 24, and I've got damage that is going to cause aerodynamic issues for the rest of the race. And you see Hamilton is just, I've got so much more understeer than Hamilton does, and he's able to just pretty easily get back around me after I'd already passed him. So it's really unfortunate that happened. I really did not appreciate Lewis Hamilton doing that to me. And at this point, I'm starting to think, wow, the AI is trying to ruin my race here. And, I mean, even if I can get back in front of him, which I do for a moment there, I'm just wasting so much time battling with these guys. And I'm so far away from Perez, and honestly, I'm getting pretty far away from Sainz at this point. So I'm really in a position that I don't like. And then just to top it off, Verstappen gets by easily as well. So the underbody damage was not the worst in the world. I mean, I could survive, but it was just enough to be annoying. It was just enough to not give you that bite into turns. It just felt like the other guys had, just the smallest amount of advantage over me. And remember, I mean, I think I was the fastest car on the track at the beginning of the race and going into that first stint of the race when I was on soft. So at this point, I think we're losing a lot of time, and maybe I'll be able to salvage this race for a podium, but also I don't think that Perez is really within striking distance anymore. I mean, he's got to be 10 seconds up the road at this point, and it's going to be a really tough sell to try to beat him with anything other than a safety car. And to be honest, I don't really want a safety car because I don't want those guys behind me to get roped in, because if they get close to me, they're probably going to pass me because they don't have the damage that I do. So I'm just not in a great position here, and I'm going to have to make the most of it. But what I'm going to try to focus on is just staying clean and not getting involved in any more extracurricular activities. You see me sort of shy away from Verstappen there a little bit, but at this point, I just don't think that I really have the pace to stay ahead of Verstappen if I can even get in front of Verstappen. So just really not in a good place here. Hamilton, Verstappen, Perez, all faster than me. Sainz, faster than me, but it seems has pitted. But you see there, Max Verstappen makes a mistake, locks up a little bit, and it just opens the door for me, and I take advantage of it and pounce in front, and he quickly gets by again, but I do have the DRS, so I managed to stay in front of him. But coming out of this turn, you see I have a little bit of moment, and I'm a little unsure of where I am in relation to Verstappen after that happens. I just got thrown all out of sorts by losing it for a second and then catching it, and sort of as I caught it, I think I kind of went left to the inside of the track, and Verstappen kind of went to the back right of me, and to be honest, I just didn't realize it. So he ran into my side pods, and you didn't hear it, but the engineers are saying you have side pod damage. You're going to feel a little bit of drag. Watch the cooling of the engine. So, that one was arguably my fault just as much as it was Verstappen's. I probably would say that's a racing incident because I did sort of lose it a bit and then catch it, and it put me out of position. But the one with Hamilton earlier, I did not feel like was my fault. I felt like he ran into the back of me. And I do think you could probably argue that Verstappen contributed to what we just saw there. So it's unfortunate, but I've got quite a bit of damage at this point in the race, and I really don't think that there's anything to do here other than just try to salvage what I can, limp on to the end of the race, and be careful not to go for a crazy move and lose it. So I do still think that I'm pacey. I will say I think I got a lot of pace, and I think that you do see, well, you don't see it, but there were a few times in this last stint, and I'm just showing you the deltas here. There was a little bit of charging up and then using the battery, and never getting within really 4 seconds of Verstappen in front of me, never more than 3 seconds ahead of Piastri behind me. So I was just sort of biding my time, just trying to be smart, and you don't see it, but there were a few times when I get a little snap, and I think it's because of the aerodynamic issues that I have going on with the car, and I'm just able to catch it, but it cost me a little bit of time. You do see me put a fast lap down there, so that's something for sure. But after that, we go back to just watching the deltas, and I think I passed some lap traffic, but I just never had a chance at catching Verstappen, and I was adamant about not letting Piastri pass me, but there were a few times here when I was pushing and just never managed to get close enough, I mean, I would charge up the battery, I would push, and it would get down to like 3.8, 3.5 seconds, something like that. So, it was frustrating because I felt like I had a lot better pace earlier in the race. And because of the damage that I received, which I don't necessarily feel like was my fault, though I did contribute to what happened with Verstappen. I think it really slowed me down a lot, and it really caused a lot of drag. What you're seeing here is I do go for a bit of a push lap, and I was feeling really good at this point in the race in terms of knowing the track. I mean, I practiced before the race, obviously, but at this point I've done 50-ish laps in this session. I'm really feeling in the groove. I'm really feeling in the zone. So I said, hey, what the heck? Let's see if we can make this fast lap a little faster, because I do think as we get to the end of the race, there's every possibility that one of these AIs is just going to yoink it from me with a slightly faster lap. So I'm thinking let's put a really fast lap on the timing board. Let's secure that extra point, and with P6 and the extra point from the fast lap, that may be all I can salvage from this weekend. So you see me using the battery a lot during this lap. I'm probably going to drain it, if not down to zero, as pretty much close to zero as you would really want to get on a push lap. And I really have no chance of catching Verstappen, and I know that. I'm just going to try to get a good lap in and then keep it chill for the rest of the race, and not let my teammate or anyone else pass me. And maybe I can just take advantage of something happening in front of me. I don't know what that would look like. But Sebastian Vettel is out of the session. You see him off to the right of the track right there. Couldn't even make it back to pit lane. Poor guy. But you see me pump in another fast lap, 1:34.344. So I hope that will stand to the end of the race. It very well may not. But on to the last lap. You see Perez gets the win. Good for him. You see that I've dropped some more time to Verstappen. You see that Piastri is still 5.5 seconds back, and I'm fine with all this. It's frustrating. It's unfortunate, and I think especially in a 100% race. I enjoy these. I think they're a lot of fun. I like doing them, but when you get damage that you don't necessarily feel like is your fault, and then you have to have that damage for the next 30 laps, it can be frustrating and unfortunate, but at the end of the day, it's a pretty good result. P6 with the fast lap point. We are fine with that. We made the most of the weekend, and honestly, it was a lot of fun. I like the track, and this was a good experience. So keep your eyes tuned for more 100% races of Kronos E-Racing, my team. And league racing coming back soon as well. We've got our first race in about a week and a half, so expect more of that on the channel. Maybe some ACC at points, and stay tuned for the next one, I guess.